Muy buenas tardes, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. As always, muchas gracias to everyone for everyone's words, wishes, prayers, and the love and support you guys extend and share with me. From the heart, I appreciate you. Also, do please support the message by liking, sharing, subscribing, and hyping the video. Thank you. Before I get into it, I've been having to stay tied into this breathing machine. Thank you again, H and Orange. Um, so if it's too loud, do excuse me. I just wanted to tap in with everyone today, at least real fast. But today I want to talk, on the other side of the coin. I want to talk about two camaradas, or should I say, there was more involved, right? From Santa Barbara, and now you could say one's decision ricocheted in the negative aspect inside, right? And basically, it just goes back to what it is, greed, jealousy. It all boils to the same, just look from a different angle, I guess. But everybody has heard or hears about what evil was doing in that area, right? And now he had his front man, Sporty. And yes, briefly, you hear about Mike Boo, and he was warring with him, right? And, but it falls short in that, right? But anyways, that's what it's going to consist of. I want to talk about of the main ones was Conejo and Playboy from Santa Barbara. And basically what they were doing on the streets, right? You see, it became a power move from the feds. But at least this don't come from me, right? You see, when I met Mike Boo from Norwalk was 2003, 2004 in Corcoran. And he was loved by his peers, by his carnales, right? By other pilis. And because he always played fair to a sense, right? And just to be clear, when it comes to that area, he always worked hand in hand with Toto. For those that know Toto on a personal tip, no, that's a big accomplishment. Toto is just one of them grouchy ones, right? Real hard to get along. Nevertheless, at one point, I guess they felt one Pili was in Mexico, the other one was in the feds. It was just right to bring chaos to the streets of Cali, right? As they did so to Santa Barbara. Before I continue, I got a gang of stories from homies from Santa Barbara in that area. I've been keeping away because, well, you guys know the current kind of stuff happening there. I don't want it to rub off, right? My respects. But anyways, again, Mike, when he was in the feds, he had a lot of backing, right? He had a lot of backing from Rube, from Fox, from numerous cricket, things like that, right? And Evil was in Mexico, but he was no pushover, right? So they were fighting for the same territory. The only difference was that when it came to clipping individuals, these two camaradas were were laying the law down for Mike right on the calles. And again, it goes back to him holding the ground or that area for many, many years, right? So in reality, after evil got made, he was the one evil, the one that was stepping on territory, right? But again, you couldn't say he was wrong because that's his area, and again, what really helped Mike though was Toto, point blank. Toto has a huge following, not just in Santa Barbara, but Santa Paula, all in that area, right? And he was with Mike, but just to shed a little in look on how constantly, what we just say for the sake of the video, politics change with these guys, right? Again, Boo would end up going to the feds, and then his workers, more so Conejo, Playboy, they started pressing on everybody. I remember when we were up there was an amapil that went up that Conejo specifically had put out to the whole county, right? Santa Barbara County. And it was basically you get in line or you get taken out. It was Mike's territory. Anyways, it reached Toto's hands, ears, eyes, whatever. And in this kite, it basically stated that they didn't give a where you were at from in the county, east, west Santa Barbara, whatever, right? You only answer to Mike. And of course, it rubs the wrong way. You see, homeboys were really pressing on people. There's no need to touch on what's already out there, right? But they would push on people and take whatever they had till they align themselves, right? You guys can read between the lines. And Toto was upset, but what can he do? He helped Mike Boo get in as much as he was, right? But we fast forward. I think that's why Mike Boo got put in the shelf, or one of the big reasons, right? Which was his doing in the county in the 805 area, and Toto pressing against him. You see, to talk about two camaradas, Boxer and Frosty, Boxer from the east, Frosty from the west, right, of Santa Barbara. They were, this is what year? 2014, I believe. They're on the linea, right there in Pelican Bay, right? They're on the main line, and it's something you rarely see, right? Which is two camaradas holding a jardín down, answering to another camarada on the street that's answering to a pili in the feds. It just hits the state pilis the wrong way. I know everybody says, but don't they ever think they're going to be indicted? Yes, they do. But you see, that's in the future. With the politics that currently play out, like I heard it many times from them, right? Who knows where they're going to be at by that time? So they're thinking about now and what they can gain now. Well, numerous of times, right? Toto had reached out to these two individuals to various ways to basically fall in line with him, or there was going to be pedos. You know, the homies felt they were doing something right, as we all do. When we have a servicio for a pili, we're supposed to hold our servicio to the fullest. It's just part of the camponero causa, right? And ignore Toto, which is fatal, right? You could be doing something for a Pili, but at all times you gotta be respectful to the next man, at least with that holds that power. Especially if you're not even in direct contact with a Pili. You're answering to a camarada, and it was suspected by Playboy. I'll just say that. Me and Playboy, we had our issues in Corcoran for the same reason. He felt his Theo or his Pili he was directly under had the right to encroach on yards, on matters that did not concern him, right? And when Mike would be confronted directly, he would even say that don't concern me. And they would bring it up to him, hey, you're soldado though. Playboy's over here pushing for you. And he said, oh, I'll speak to him, get him right, but it's lies. At the end of the day, Playboy was doing Mike's bidding, right? He was just being what it is, a tecato, playing a card with one hand and hiding the next with the other hand, right? And anyways, there was a lot of issues, right, with them, especially in Corcoran, because Mike wanted a jardín in Corcoran, in Old Corcoran, and Artie wasn't having it. And at the time I was helping Artie. Artie wasn't having it. Then he bumped heads with Rolo. Oh, he bumped heads with a lot, including Fox. Well, I could go on, right? But the one that was always holding him tough was definitely Toto. But by this time, Toto felt he had no rights to the state. His thing was out in the feds. You see, I guess at one point Toto told him, hey, you're doing too much. Mixing with them cats down south. Let someone else move that. But greed don't allow it, right? I don't know where their fallout was. I really think it was Toto's territory, point blank. And them threats that Conejo was doing and Playboy on the street, again, it was normal from Conejo, believe me. A couple times he was real close of me sending him a peel from Marty to have a celly whack him because of his mouth. Because he felt he was under a peely and he could speak it so. Which no, you always speak with respect. It don't matter if you're speaking with a resident that just arrived, right? There's no disrespect. Again, I really think that's how Conejo entered the playground with Boo, right? Because of Playboy. Always high politics always came from the east side of Santa Barbara, point blank. I met a good camarada from the west that, refrained from seeking his name for obvious reasons. But HB, he was a good homie. They just hurt him bad, right? By trusting someone that was a weenie. But again, that's not here nor there. Within time, Toto through a female, right? I won't put her name out there, but a female from Chiques, he sent word out there to Conejo and Playboy directly, which was keep what Mike has, but you ever get in neighborhoods and speak the way you did to camaradas, and undermine me, I want to have your jugular. That didn't seem to fade these two vatos, you know. So Toto did the next best thing in his head. Me, I personally think, you guys know how I feel. Who Dookie's on it has to clean it, right? There's no reason to get payback from your home with your family members. The things they're doing nowadays, right? And he wanted to send a clear message. Boxer and Frosty were on that yard. Toto didn't have a seat on them yards. The one that had a seat on them yards was Terco. So he shot word out through Terco. As you guys know, I was just doing what I had to do, right? Putting together what Terco wanted done. And basically, the Amapil got out there that the Amapil stated these two vatos, they're wanted by Toto. He wants their head, not their career, their head. Keep in mind that they never done anything. This was something occurring on the street. In reality, Conejo and his crew and Mike and his crew, they were too strong for Toto to reach them, out to them, right? So, anyways, the two homies got hit. I know they got hit, removed, and do excuse. I couldn't tell you exactly the outcome of it, but you guys can imagine, right? Toto's still there, and there's no coming back from an order against you like that. At least no Campolero's gonna ignore that. It's just facts. Eventually, Conejo, Playboy, and many others, right, from Santa Barbara, they would end up getting indicted, going to the feds. And here's the kicker, though. When they hit the feds, there was a lot of mistakes being done on the streets. The main point was Conejo and Playboy's push against Sporty. Sporty was still out there collecting for evil, right? They weren't uniting, but they weren't doing anything against Sporty, or vice versa, right? So the one that felt some type of way was Pelon from Norwalk. He felt his brother was being minimized because of his kindness, which is, you know, it's far from the truth. Those that know Mike Boo know there's no hesitation there, or there weren't used to be. I don't know now that, But anyways, the homies got a checada. But one of them checadas you get when you're a camarada, right? And it ain't just a couple cachetadas. You're gonna get some fierro inside you. And you gotta keep push about your business. As the homies did. Nevertheless, I wanted to put this story out, excuse me, mainly to open the door for what I've been wanting to speak on, right? That I've been avoiding. But more so to shine a light on those that are not there. Those that are there, do your thing. My respects. Those that haven't been there or haven't put in that spot, please pay attention. And not just to me. There's thousands of scenarios in prison, in counties, on the street. in federal prisons in Mexico where there's no winning for a camarada. With this again, I don't say go funny, funny, right? Never that. Do your thing wherever you're at. I'm saying be smart. If you don't have to, for whatever reason, you could be one of the lucky ones that your whole life represents your neighborhood. You never get busted. Stay true to your neighborhood. But there's always a time where, common sense has to hit. You could tell me, oh, that idiot is wrong. I respectfully, you know, extend my respects to you. But when there's 100 of them. But anyways, this is just an in look, right? A camarada will always have the losing hand. I mean, we could sit here and we could discuss just of the green lights I know my Mike Boo put on hoods just cause or for reasons just as scandalous as just cause. But do you see anybody talk about the camaradas that could take it out, hit, or move just for the fun of them or for a little vitamina para la sangrona? But again, I'm not here to spread poison. Just simply putting my, you could say, walks, knowledge out there in the hopes that it could say, you know what, the city could be wrong, but I'm gonna hold on to it in case something like this comes up. Anyways, I hope it made sense and this thing ain't too loud. Tomorrow I'll be checking in with you, but happy holidays to everyone. Many blessings to you, family, and make this coming year be way more better than the best year you can think of for you and family. Stay true to yourself and loyal to loved ones. This is so we started. We always